Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to learn how to make this beautiful bustier dress that has a basque waistline and gathered effect. So let's head straight to it. Firstly, you'll be needing your basic bodice front in full like mine. You have your chest line, your bust line, waistline, and of course your hip line, and then wherever you want your dress to stop. My neckline is in the basic, though I didn't cut it out. So this is what your basic bodice that you're starting off with should look like. Now the next thing we are going to do is you want to mark from your chest line or from your bust point line, you want to mark 2 inches above like so, or 1.5 inches. Now these measurements are optional, they are left for you. It's left for how you want your own design to be on your chest or whatever. Now I'm going to be marking from my center front 1.5 inches towards the side, okay, towards this side where we have the kind of the tube effect, not the pointed effect, not the pointy effect. So after marking 1.5 inches from my center front, I'll be using my ruler to connect those lines together. I'm actually using a fent line because I probably will be cleaning up this line as we go on in this tutorial. But I just hope you guys can see it. Now, I haven't marked the line. You know that the whole of this part is going off because of the kind of neckline this design is. On that 1.5 inches mark, I'm going to be going upwards by 1.5 inches again. Okay. Then I'm going to be connecting it to my armhole area like so. This is to form the first design of the bustier. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Now for the other design, I'm going to be making a curved mark, sort of a sweetheart neckline to the armhole area of that part like so. The whole of this part actually that I'm marking X or star, whatever, is going out. So because it's going out, we need to contour so that this dress do not gap. The first contour guideline I'll be drawing is the neckline contour guideline. Of course, you're going to be marking your bust arc, which is distance between your bust point to your underbust. Please do not use my measurement. Use your own distance between your bust point to your underbust. The pattern that I'm using is for a half scale dress form. So please do not use my measurement. Only follow the instructions. So on top of that bust arc, you're going to be imputing your dart, which is half an inch, and you're connecting it like so. Now the next contour we are going to mark is armhole contour guideline. Of course, this is a tube, so you'll be needing your armhole contour. And yes, you're going to be marking your dart of half inch like so, and you connect it. Now the last, but not the last, the third contour that we'll be needing is the shoulder contour. Of course, there is no shoulder for this dress, so you need to contour the shoulder part so it does not gap. Then you're also marking your bust arc. And on top of your bust arc is going to be sitting your dart of half an inch. Then you go ahead and connect it like so. If you found this video helpful so far, please do well to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and also click the bell notification so you'll be notified whenever I post lovely tutorials like this. You can also check out other videos we have in the channel, which are very interesting and educating. The next contour guideline, which is actually the last, is the underbust contour guideline to give you that feminine shape, okay, to get your whole silhouette snatched. So you need to contour your underbust, and by so doing, you're going to be marking from your bust apart measurement 1 inch on both sides, and you're connecting it like so. So these are all the contour darts, okay. Can you see that? I've gone ahead to make them sort of visible so you guys can see it. We're going to replicate the same thing on the other side, because basically the same process, we need to contour the same thing. It's also a tube, so the same contour guideline, the shoulder, okay, and also the armhole. Then definitely, because it's a bustier, we are going to be contouring the underbust. Then with my ruler, we'll go ahead to join it just like we did for the other side, okay. So same thing there, we're going to be replicating it on the other side, and this is what your pattern should be looking like right now. Now to continue with this pattern, you find out that looking at the dress we are recreating, you find out that this other part that has a pointy effect overlapped the other part. Okay, it overlapped it. It was not stitched on top of it. You will notice it from the lower part of it. It overlapped it. So in order to get that overlap effect, you're going to be focusing on your center front now to start that sweetheart neckline of the other side from the center front. So the other side is actually going to be starting from the center front. I'm going to have to redraw it. The other part is going to be starting actually from your center front. So this is what it looks like. Can you see? It's now inwards, and the other pointy part is kind of outside it. I don't know if you get. Now I decided to raise that pointy effect a little bit higher. So it's kind of obvious. I decided to raise it a little bit higher. You can raise yours. Like I said, there is no measurement for this. As much as you want to raise yours, you can raise it. So I decided to raise mine so it's a little bit obvious and higher. That was why I cleaned the first mark that I had. So I went ahead to raise it. And at this point, this is what we have. Now coming over to the lower part of it, from my waistline, I'm going to be measuring 2 inches. You can decide to use 3 inches, okay? Now on that line, where the bigger part of the bustier is overlapping the smaller part, you go ahead to measure 4 inches. You can use 5, 6, just from your pattern, you should know what works for you. On the other side also, I'll go ahead to measure 2 inches. Same thing we did for the other side. Now we're going to be connecting this part like so. You want to see that the bigger part is also lower than the smaller part. From the design we are recreating, please check the picture on top of the screen. That is the reason why we'll have it this way, okay? So at this point, this is all that we have. And I'm going to have to cut out this side. Of course, before you cut this, please do well to trace out that smaller part. Please do well to trace it out. So do well to trace it out. So as you can see, I traced mine out. So we'll just set it aside and work on the bodies. Continue working on it, okay? Now the next thing we are going to do, of course, is to start cutting out, so we can cut out the parts that we do not need. Since I've traced out that part, we can now go ahead and cut out the pointy part of it without having the fear of what will happen to the other part. Of course, we've traced it out, okay? Now, there is something actually that I would like to point out. If you look at the picture we are recreating on the screen, you'll find out that the part that the lower part of it, the gathered effect, was attached. You will not see any sewing. Okay, you find out that it was tucked in, right? So I'm going to be putting a tutorial that I made on how to achieve that in the comment section, so you can go check it out. But first, before you check that tutorial out, the first thing you want to do is you want to trace out this part like so. So after tracing this part out, you want to go ahead and click on that video in the comment section and watch it, all right? So you're going to be tracing this part out. You're going to be tracing it out, and you actually trace 2 pieces of it. You'll be tracing it out 2 times, like twice. You're supposed to have 2 pieces of it. I'm going to have to trace it out 2 pieces. So click on that video so you can watch and know how to use it. Now the next thing we're going to do is to cut out this part. I actually forgot to impute my shoulder line for the princess dart. Okay, so I'm going to be bringing back that top part of the pattern, and we'll go ahead from the midpoint of the shoulder, rule a straight line to the bust point. So that is my style line for the shoulder princess dart. And then we'll go ahead to start manipulating our darts to create our shoulder princess dart. I cut open my side bust darts, then all the contour darts that I'm going to be closing up, I'll transfer the dart excess to transfer all the dart to my side bust dart. So if you watch closely, you still notice that the style line for the shoulder princess dart is still there. I've not cut it, I didn't touch it, it's still there. I'm only working on the contour dart. So can you see it's already having that shape? So we're going to be forming our shoulder princess dart. I was actually supposed to cut the style line from the shoulder first before hair. I actually did it before I realized, so I had to kind of go ahead and cut it. And it affected the way I closed up my dart, like, you know. But not to worry. I went ahead and closed it. They were cutting out the rest of the dart. So this is what this part of the pattern should look like. We're done with it. So the next is the other side, this side of the pattern, okay? I also forgot to add the star line for the shoulder princess dart. I'm also going to be adding it now. So you can as well add yours before cutting out this part, please. Do well to add yours before cutting out this part. If you watch closely, you'll find out that the star line for the shoulder princess dart is still there. I haven't tampered with it, just like I told you for the other one. So here is it. This is what this part of the pattern. So these are all the patterns for the front. These are all your patterns for the upper front of it. Okay, this is what they look like. And I went ahead to try to join them together, though it's a paper, and this is actually what it looks like. It looks nice. Then we'll go over to the lower part of it. You want to draw in your style line for the slash and spread. You're cutting two, like you're cutting it out completely, not like you want to form sort of a flare. It's going to be having gathers, so you also need fullness at the top part of it, so you're cutting everything out. I hope you understand that. Now you have two flares, the first one and the second one. So in order to achieve that, you just go ahead now and decide how the distance between your first one and the second one. Here I'm using 4 inches. And then we'll go ahead to mark the 4 inches all the way from the top to where we want it to stop. And I'll use my ruler to join them together. Now the trick is when you're cutting on your fabric, you go ahead and cut the whole of it first before cutting out this part, then have the other.